Sometimes I don't know if I'm actually going live on this thing. Because I'm wearing my camouflage so they can't see me like Tony Yayo.
And he's so smart. You're so smart, I can't even stand it.
Yeah. All right, drive safe. All right, Cody, I was wondering if anybody was in here with my camouflage on, because like I was saying earlier, can't see me like Tony Yayo. So I'm up in the house right now. That's what I'm saying. You know what? I bought this just to kind of round out my collection, but it's camouflage, but this shit is like kind of thinner than what I'm hoping, you know. I did roll up on the Marine Corps stuff. You know, that's super thick right there. That's a zip up. I really wasn't too, what's up? Really wasn't too happy with. Anyway, I got a couple Marine Corps ones. But anyway, would you, please don't just stand right there. I'm serious. I'm absolutely 100% serious. Anyway, I got people fucking with me, but
I was gonna make you a drink.
well, you don't have to. I got one right here. Anyway, what I want to talk about. Hey, you know what? Let's talk everything Prime. And I'm gonna talk so much Prime today that you're gonna think that I'm a driver that used to be at Prime that's on all the Facebook pages. That's how much about Prime I want to talk today. What's up? Yeah, Tim, I didn't think anybody could see me with all this camouflage up here like Tony Yayo. But anyway,
Did you make dinner?
well, I made some stuff out of that chicken. It's not necessarily dinner. You could have it if you want some of it. It's in the refrigerator.
Thanks, babe.
So anyway, just want to talk about a few things that came up with Prime that just want to throw my input in. Seems like more people want to talk about it that aren't. See, I don't get this. I don't get why you used to work at Prime or never worked at Prime and be in a Prime Facebook group talking about how good your company is. What I would say is go start your own Facebook group about the company you're with, and then, you know, just leave the Prime stuff alone. But anyway, you know, nothing serious. This is Modelo. My wife said she was going to make me something,
No, I didn't.
but she wanted to stand there and stare at me and then got mad when I was like,
No, you misread. I said this,
okay, she flipped me off.
and I
Whatever.
said I was going
Right.
to make
Okay.
you something.
Well, okay.
Then you weren't very nice.
Okay.
So that's where that came
Yeah. So, you know, all this stuff came up, and sorry if I keep hitting this thing because I can't see these comments because they keep going away. But, you know, they're talking about this personal conveyance and stuff like that. And here's my problem with Prime. And it's not that, like I said, I'm all about Prime, all that stuff. I think what they try to do is I think they try to cater to drivers too much to a point where things become a real problem. And then all of a sudden they want to solve the problem in a month or right away. This personal conveyance issue, I went into my logs advisor. Every time I go into the yard, I talk to her. You act like, yeah. Okay, every time I go into the yard or the Springfield terminal, I always stop and see my fleet manager, always stop and see payroll, always stop and see logs. So every time I go and see logs, I'm asking her, what's up? You know, I'm here because I've been hearing about this for a while. hearing about there being issues with logs, stuff like that. And, and listen, I'm going to just keep it 100%. I did Thanksgiving Day, I did kind of, go off the reservation a little bit. And guess what I did? Told my logs advisor, hey, listen, how are we ever going to trust each other if I don't tell you, if I don't keep you informed in the times that I may not be, those times I may be dabbling in the gray area. So, but I think the problem with Prime is they let things get to a boiling point, and then all of a sudden they want to make all these changes. Now, this is probably a change that's going to be a lot quicker than some of these other changes. The changes that benefit, and I'm not even sure that it benefits Prime, but the changes that benefit Prime go in effect immediately. And then the ones that either don't or absolutely do not, like load choice, that shit's been in beta testing since I was putting kids through middle school. You got what's the other one? They had this GPS, okay, we're gonna be maybe thinking about some other stuff. We're gonna have some people running this, whatever that other Qualcomm system is if Qualcomm isn't bad enough, then you want to add some more shit on top of it. Makes no sense. So I think, and I'm kind of rambling on, I just want to get this point out of the way before I start getting back in. But I think Prime is always trying to be too nice. And they're like, let's not hammer down on these people that are, messing up. Let's just keep, telling them things aren't right or whatever. And then all of a sudden it comes to a point, and that point could be as simple as Dennis Davis taking over the safety department. Every time somebody new kind of steps into a management role, sometimes you gotta, it's sort of like my dog. I got two dogs. I got a Yorkie Poo and I got a Morkie. And every time the younger dog goes and takes a piss, my other dog got to go take a piss right where that dog took a piss. So it might be a little bit of that, but I think it's a little bit extreme in what's going on over there. This should not have even became a problem. And somebody that left a comment earlier said that, the fleet managers that were having issues with their trucks drivers abusing personal conveyance and stuff, that should have came down on them. Then they should have came down on the drivers. How this became this issue, because I've been mentioning it every week every time I go into the terminal to my logs advisor. What's going on with personal conveyances? How are things going? I heard there was an audit. I heard this. I heard that. And she's just saying things are bad. And I'm like, well, are they doing anything about it? Not really. So now we're getting it's sort of like, it's just an overreaction. Anyway, that's it. So another thing they were talking about that meeting I wanted to expand on a little bit was this driving. And as nice as they try to put it, if you get in an accident, and Tim Travels can tell you this is so, if you get in an accident, that shit's on you. There is no trying to figure out who, what the issue was or why it wasn't it, whatever. And I almost jackknifed. I got my first critical event. There was a legitimate critical event in Minnesota going 18 miles an hour. And basically what Prime was saying in this meeting was, no matter what happens, weather is not a reason for accidents. So, and it's like me trying to step into a fleet manager's shoes. I cannot do that because I'm not a fleet manager. But, and one of the people in safeties drove years and years ago. I mean, that's been so long, it probably is irrelevant at this point. But I do believe that you can get in an accident and there not be necessarily blamed for it. Or what were the options? Sometimes weather can get on you before you have a chance to get anywhere. But it doesn't even matter. I'm just being very conservative this winter, and I'm going to tell Myra to be conservative this winter. I'm not trying to get in any accidents out here because they are not accepting no excuses. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Market is weak in general. They know they're being now very extreme and try to clean the fleet from the ones who are causing the problem. Listen, if you want to clean a fleet, you don't even, if it's a lease operator, all that you got to do is cancel their contract. You don't even need to go through this. So if that's the issue, then just cut people. Okay, if it's clear on a clear day and you hit a sheet of black ice that is not the driver's fault. You know what? I don't know what is or isn't the driver's fault, but I know there are situations that I've been in where I've said, if I get in an accident now, this is just the situation. There's no blame. I mean, I could take all the blame, but if I don't have anywhere to pull over and park, I'm not going to park on the side of the highway and have somebody like stack up behind me on one of these roads. Like I said, Minnesota, I'm going 18 miles an hour. How much safer could I be than that? And what they're going to say is, why didn't you pull over? Well, I was getting traction fucking 2 miles back. That's why I didn't pull over. Now I'm not getting traction, but where can I stop now? And they're saying, well, use the tools that are, you know what? What is being put out is you don't check on these things while you're driving. So maybe I couldn't check on the road conditions when I was driving. Are certain offenses you get ticket-wise on home time a fireable offense? I think if you get any like major, and I don't know what they call them, but if you get speeding over a certain amount or driving with something, like a phone or something like that, then that would be something that could transfer over. Now, Prime does have a good department that'll help you fight that, so I wouldn't just, take it. I would actually fight something like that. Anything that's going to keep me from employment. But good news. Myra's been out of the bad weather lately. She was down in Alabama. Now she's going to Oklahoma, all that kind of stuff. When she was in California, they were going to give her a load up to Seattle area or to the Denver area. I told her to turn down the Seattle load. She did. Then she got a Denver load. Now, I would not have drove the load like she did. She drove over 70 and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have done that, but she did that. I would have gone down south, gone on 40, 25, gone that route into Denver. But she was a trooper because she was out there driving, and I don't know if anybody's been watching her channel, but she's out there. Just a second, Big H. She was out there driving in not great traffic conditions, coming over 70 down into Denver. And she made it in, right? So then she goes and parks at the Denver yard. Snows overnight. She gets buried in the Denver yard. There's nobody out there plowing anything. She ends up getting stuck at the Denver yard. $560 tow to move her 5 feet to get out of there. So that's what that is. If you have additional trucks and have an accident, does that fall on you or the driver? Well, the money falls on you. The reports fall on the driver. Henry, that's my man, Big H Trucking. I've been watching your video. I watch everybody's video, but I can't always comment because I'm listening to it when I drive for the most part. The topic today is just anything prime. I was a little upset about this personal conveyance stuff that they were talking about in the meeting. And I got word of this yesterday when somebody that was in one of these three fleets sent me the message that was sent to them. And I'm not so upset about the whole personal conveyance issue. I'm more upset of what that really indicates. And that is literally somebody wasn't. I think they let the issue become too big of an issue before they started clamping down on it. Maybe if they got on it before it became an issue, we wouldn't even be in this situation right now. Okay, can you technically ask your DM to run only through the bottom half of the states for a certain period of time? You can ask them to do anything you want. Now, would that be financially reasonable to do? Probably not. The problem with this winter, I thought last winter was bad, but this winter, and there's 2 more storms coming through California, like back to back. Like one's hitting like maybe tomorrow or the next day, then the one's hitting a couple days after that. Normally, I don't really care too much about the weather because you get in where the bad weather is and you get out. You're not just living in it. And this winter has been like you're just living in fucking bad weather all over the place. So you could say you want to run the bottom half, but what happens in the bottom half of the country? That's where the worst traffic conditions are if there's bad weather. I was just in Tennessee and Kentucky, and they, like I said, somebody said that maybe I should trust in the Lord, and I don't want to lose subscribers over my religious beliefs, but I'd rather not pray about some shit and have somebody out there doing some shit than me hoping something happens. So that happens in the South right now. If you have bad conditions, you got to wait for everybody down there to pray about the road conditions, and then you can like get moving. So going south doesn't necessarily help you. All right. Let's see. I just went to see that specific point in the driver meeting since you mentioned it in the video, and the guy said that it's around the 16 mark. Yep. Can you technically? All right, we already got to that. I know you don't talk about other people, but does anyone know what happened to Landshark? I talked to Landshark Transportation the other day, and he just got a load going to Wisconsin or somewhere up there from Chicago. And, you know, things are going good on the other front. He's just biding his time, trucking, waiting for things to come through with his the career that he wants to be in. Okay, now I get the drivers who are irresponsible for driving when they shouldn't, but it's all irresponsibility from the driver. I guess we got to shut down extra early. You know, as far as the personal conveyance goes, you know, I use personal conveyance a lot. And I use it every time I leave a receiver and I plan on shutting down for the night. I'm going to go to a truck stop in personal conveyance. If I go to a receiver and I don't have a load yet, I'm going to go PC to a truck stop. Now, all those hours, you know, all those hours along with the hours I save by not stopping at the truck stop every few hours, or, you know, just all the hours that you save here and there, that's a lot of time. So as I keep saying, time is money and personal conveyance is money. And like I said, they should be punishing people that are abusing this stuff right off the bat. Like I said, I did kind of dabble in the gray area on Thanksgiving. And you know what? If it happened to me, boom. You know what, Lyle? You know what? You gotta get rid of personal conveyance for 3 months or whatever. I'd accept that punishment. But I've never had any log violations. There's only been 2 times in 4 years I've really done anything that was a little in the gray area. But then again, we have the owner of our company that built his company in the gray area. So how are you going to ask us not to dabble in the gray area? I mean, you're going to tell me, okay, you know, they were talking, you know, Rob Lowe has said this in videos. We were running questionable logs. We were doing this. We were doing that. We were, you know, so if it was okay for him to build a company on that, there's got to be a little bit of leeway. And I'm not even saying that I do that, but I'm just saying there's got to be a little bit of leeway for us other people that are trying to do things on a smaller scale. And you're right, if they take away personal conveyance, it's going to screw up a lot of money. I really hope they rethink this. Well, chances are if they, you know, Prime is always good at doing these little test projects. So if this works out like the test project for the load choice board, maybe we won't have to worry about it for another 3 to 5 years or 10 years. Like a bus trucking, he in his last video he said he was going to take the channel down. Big H, why don't they just punish the people that abuse PC? That's simple. Exactly. And then like hold drivers accountable for bad weather. Like, damn, I'm not messing around in this bad weather. Not at all. You know, sometimes you forget, you know, you kind of like forget that they're going to leave you out there kind of hanging. But every now and then, if you listen close to those videos, they'll let you know if you get in an accident, that's your fault. Doesn't matter, rain, sleet, shine, whatever, it's your fault. And it's good that, you know, that I heard that again just to reaffirm that. And that's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. They'll never roll out that load choice mess. I agree. I could have got on that about probably 2 years ago. I decided not to do it. I was like, if things are going great, why am I going to mess it up? So I decided not to do it. And I can't see anybody that's on the load choice board that was doing any better than me. So it made no sense to do that. And like I said, follow the loads that you like to do. Don't worry about the money. The money's going to fall in place. I don't care if they're... Listen, I saw somebody in a Facebook group talking about they're sitting at Springfield right now. They have a load going to California. I do not care if a load was paying going from Springfield to California $8,000. That's not a load I want to take. With the weather coming in out there, it's got to be more than the money because you're going to sit a few days anyway. Me and Myra were talking about this a while back. She's like I forget where she was at. She was in Salt Lake City terminal. And they send her a load. She sends it to me and she's like, should I take it? I'm like, do you want to take it? She said, well, I don't know. You know, she doesn't want to turn down a load. So she'll say some shit like, well, I don't know if it's a good load for you. I don't care if it's a good load for me or not. Do you want to take it or not? And then we started talking about it. And I said, you know what? It's going here. I would not take that load. Turn that load down. I think it was going to Minnesota or something. Turn that load down. And they're probably going to tell you that you're going to have to sit and wait. And I'm telling you that you're going to have to sit and wait anyway. So just turn down the load and sit at the terminal, then sit off of I-80 somewhere. You know, the worst thing about it being a team driver is, and I'm saying true teams. I don't know if you're running true team or not, but, you know, them... I'm not sure I'd be wanting to drive nights right now during in most areas of this country right now. with all this slick ice and all that kind of stuff. I mean, half the country is literally fucked. I'm not sure I'd want to drive it at night. As much as I get on solar powered truckers, I'm not trying to be out there at night right now. You know what? I need to do a video and show a picture of my damn bag, because really the bag that Rich is cracking on me about, the man purse bag, looks like a bag that you might see any Fortune 500 guy walk around with this computer in it. So that's the bag I got. Do you feel that Prime cuts your water off after you hit a certain... No, I don't think that at all. I think your hours... You know, I have a fleet manager that I can talk to that used to work at Prime, that I may start answering some of these, or I may start asking some of these questions. I don't want to overstep my boundaries yet, so I may get into stuff like that. But I haven't got that feeling yet. I think a lot of it is where you're at, what your hours are, probably is more than anything. And that's pretty much, and you know, I mean, there's some people that put stipulations on themselves. Like my fleet manager knows there's really no price that he can coax me with that makes me want to go up into, you know, past like New York, Maine, Rhode Island. There's really nothing up there that I really want to deal with. So that, you know, that makes me a little less valuable. You know, when it's this time of the year, I'm really not trying to fuck with Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, South Dakota, you know, so that kind of limits me a little bit. So if I'm being limited, I don't think I'm being limited by a fleet manager. I think I'm being limited by myself. And I don't mind that. Speaking of being negative, like a boss trucking, I don't think I've ever pulled money out of my emergency fund to pay for a deficiency. I've just let it ride and let it work its way out. And I don't know if that's a reason why you get better loads or not. What I don't want to do is pull money from my emergency fund that is really for emergencies, or maybe buying other trucks unless it's necessary. So if they allow me to run negative and bring it positive, that's what I'm going to do. Like I mentioned before, January, February, March of last year, I made 0 paychecks for 3 months. And then this last week with tow bills and everything crazy, you know, I'm rocking the house with $68 from that paycheck. So it's, and I'm probably going to go negative because I'm going to be home for 25 days, probably 21 more days now. I haven't looked at the calendar, but I will be negative, and I'm not going to pay it out of my emergency fund unless they say, Lyle, pay it out of your emergency fund, then I'll do that. Yep, I agree with Rich. It's all about availability and what lane you're in. And sometimes they got to know if you're going to run that load. Because I've heard people say, I just did a video where somebody was saying, well, if I pick up a load and, you know, my fleet manager, you know, or the shipper like gave it to me 5 hours later, and I'm expecting the receiver to accept it 5 hours later, but if you can get the load there and just by running hard, I don't see there being a reason why somebody should have to change the appointment. If you can run that load there and get there within an hour early, you know, by your best estimation, even if you have to run 63 or 65 miles an hour, then there should be no reason to change that load. There should be a reason to bring it up. Like I may have an issue getting there, but fleet managers will pick out the week. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like some of the hardcore shit that the nomads used to do back in the day. I was watching a documentary about, you know, all these tribes and stuff. And not necessarily Indian, but just tribes. And one of the things they used to do was kill old people and like I got a little hitch in my giddy up right now. My hip is hurting a little bit. I would have been just killed because they ain't moving the whole entire tribe based on my slow ass walking. So they just get rid of people that are holding them back. And I think fleet managers will do that if you show the propensity of not being able to get loads there that need to get there. Then they might just say like, you know what, fuck this weak ass. When a good load comes, why am I going to give it to them? I'm going to give it to the guy that, if there's two people in one area and there's a guy that's been busting his ass that did what he had to do to get it to the shipper, and there's this other person who's like, well, I need to extend it out 5 hours, then you know what? You can't tell me that doesn't happen. Anyway. Coming through some snow in Montana last winter when another semi coming from behind slammed into a car. A truck is going to get cited for anything that they can get that person cited on. And one thing I will tell you, and I say that I will always use personal conveyance if I'm leaving a truck or if I'm leaving a shipper or receiver and I'm going to a truck stop to shut down, or sometimes I don't know if I have a load yet. There may or may not be I'm not even going to go there. But if it's bad condition, stuff like that, I will not use personal conveyance for that. If there's a possibility of bad traffic or bad road conditions, I'll just do that on duty. It's just easier to explain if you ever have to go to court. Is it ever all right to offer pushback to your DM on what a good paying load? I've never picked a load over money, and I never will. I've picked a load on what I like and what I don't like, and the money is the money, so I don't let that be a focus on me. I think looking at the money is the short-term shit. And I think that once you're motivated by money, they can send you any bullshit in the world and say it's a great load because it pays well. Well, you know what? I don't want a good load that pays well if it delivers in the fucking Bronx. So I've had this conversation with my fleet manager. He said, Lyle, hey, I understand everything you're saying, and I'm not gonna, it would be easier for me just to find another load than punish you. But if I see a load that's paying X amount of money, I'm just gonna have to send it. And then you're gonna have to be responsible for turning it down. That's why he never really gets on me about turning down loads. Now, if it's a load that he needs ran, all he has to do is ask me. I'll run it. I'm not afraid to run it. I just don't want to put myself in stressful situations that are unnecessary. My Peter 2020 been giving me a hard time since we hit 400,000 miles. Been in the shop almost 3 weeks. I've had since 55 miles on in training. Hey, you can't skip the struggle. Tim Travel's out there in the shop right now. So it's not a Peterbilt thing. People like to push that narrative out there, but a truck is a truck. I haven't had major problems with any of with my 3 Peterbilts that I've had. So, and just think of that as time to relax. If you were setting aside, what I do is I set aside enough money to when it's time for me to relax, like now, or if I break down, I'm not going to be worried about the money. Let's see. I don't understand, but why don't folks like the Northeast? It's just part. I just don't like the Northeast just because I don't like the Northeast. I really don't need to have a reason for it. I mean, everybody has things they either like or don't like. And to me, the Northeast, from a lease perspective, I don't see there being a great. Actually, from a company perspective, it's even worse. Because if you get trapped up in the Northeast and you're just bouncing around up there, you really ain't getting no miles. And then from a lease perspective, you could make better money elsewhere. So why even endure the stuff? Now, I'd probably take the Northeast over the Northwest in wintertime. Plus, you know what? And I don't want to offend anybody that lives in the Northeast, but the Northeast to me just looks dingy. The houses, just the colors, the vibrance, I just get down just driving through it. Everything just looks old. And I mean, Tim Travels, or Terry at Tim Travels, he's all about the history and all that kind of stuff. So he likes seeing old, dilapidated shit, talking about the history and all that. What I like is some new shit that's making his own history. So, anyway. But if you live in the Northeast, grew up in the Northeast, and you're familiar with the Northeast, nothing wrong with it. Everything's just a pain in the ass in the North. I can't even think of one thing I like about the Northeast. You go park somewhere, right? Or let's say you deliver. There's really nowhere to park once you deliver. So you're like, okay, well, let me go drive over here. So you say, I'm going to drive over to this place and park. Your next load is 4 fucking like toll booths the other direction that you just got done driving. Everything I can't stand it. And don't get me started about the Chelsea Market in Boston. That is like the worst. No, I'm not. Hey, as far as pushing back on your fleet manager, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just don't do it purely because of money. You mentioned one thing right there. As soon as you start talking about multi-stop loads, once you get past 2 drop-offs, I really start thinking hard about it. So there's a reason right there that I may turn down the load. It could be a number of different things, but it's not going to be the money, because the money averages itself out. Yeah, as long as your fleet managers are as long as you and your fleet manager are on the same page, then you are good to go. The problem is when people don't have a relationship with their fleet manager and expect them to be mind readers and stuff like that, or if you come in with that disrespectful tone, like I've seen, I'm gonna fire my fleet manager. Shut the fuck up. I cannot. That's one thing I can't stand, is when people say some shit like that. I'm gonna fire my fleet manager, and that's. Hey, I love you, Tim, but I know you like saying that one too. Or Terry, excuse me. Terry will say that in a heartbeat. Well, one thing about this running $2 a mile, so if you hear any of these other people, trucking channels, whatever, that aren't with Prime, a lot of those people that are talking about their dollars per mile are talking about it before the company takes their money out of that. So at Prime, that I don't think a lot of people understand is which I don't agree with, when people start talking about how much money they're making at Prime, the money that they're talking about is after Prime's already taken their money out. They haven't brought into account that Prime's fuel discount is the best fuel discount out there. And those are two things that don't come up when people are talking about dollars per mile. But, I don't think about the money. On my end, I'd rather be happy. Anybody driving my trucks, I would rather them be happy. I don't care about the money. They could turn down whatever load they want. I don't get involved unless they get me involved. I'm from the Northeast Bronx area, and I don't like. So somebody from the Bronx doesn't like the Northeast. That's telling you something. And a lot of times, see, you get up in the Northeast and it never fails. You get up in the Northeast and I'll have like 3 GPS going. I got the Peterbilt GPS, I got my Garmin, then I got the Qualcomm. Now, I trust the Qualcomm the most in those situations. And what happens as soon as you get in the Northeast, that shit goes out. And all them bridges and stuff like that, I just don't even want to. And listen, there's nothing about a map that I'm trying to get down with right now. I've messed with maps enough in my life. Trucker Crespo. What's up, Trucker Crespo? We went out and had a little something to eat at the Fire and Ice last time I was out there. Got a chance to meet him and say what's up. After 8 years, I finally don't run the Northeast. Yeah, not running the Northeast makes you happy. Now there are some places in the Northeast I like. Like I don't know why I like Amish people so much, but I like Amish people. So if I'm driving through places like that, I kind of like that upstate New York, things like that, areas in Pennsylvania, but I don't like getting down near that city. Not because I can't do it, it's just not worth it. Especially if you ever been to Newark Airport like for the first time and that's just a mess. Why even put yourself in it? John Gonzalez, what's up, Devil Dogs? Here on Home Time. I just picked up a load out of Victorville. You better get out of California soon. And since you are a Marine, just tell you, a lot of people think I don't have a lot of clothes because what I do when I'm out driving is I leave my clean clothes in a bag. And if I have a chance to wash some clothes, I'll put back on the same ones that I got. So I still got 4 bags of clothes that I took out last time that I still haven't used during a 2-month run. Got that hoodie right there. This is a nice thick hoodie. Love that. Good quality on this. Let's see who makes this one right here. Russell. Okay. Then we got the just straight up old school, like if you were on like a Camp Hillen or something like that, you might be rocking something like that. But nice sweatshirts. Yeah, Northeast isn't quite as bad if you're teaming. Still sucks. Yeah, get out of Wisconsin. South Carolina treat you good out there. I was just out there maybe a couple weeks ago, dropped a load off out there, and I was finally able to get DEF because it was frozen in Kentucky, North Carolina, Tennessee. It's not that bad now, but there are 2 bad storms coming through. Look at your maps. Look at this YouTube channel called Ryan Hall, y'all. There's 2 storms coming. If you're on the West Coast, you better get out. So am I making a mistake going to Prime City? Hell no, you're not making a mistake. Hey, I'm just talking a little shit about the Prime could be doing a little bit better, but we all have our cross to bear. I'm not saying that Prime's not the place to go, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't be here. I'm not leaving Prime. I'm just saying that sometimes, see, here's the problem, Antonio. It's not that I don't like Prime. It's being from the situations I've been in before and looking at them react to the way some of the things they're reacting to now makes me think that management was too soft on drivers. So management being too soft on drivers for a long time is sort of like something irritating you for a long time, and then all of a sudden you blow up over it. That's where Prime's at right now as far as personal conveyance goes. If they just clamped down at the beginning, pissed off a few drivers, taking away their personal conveyance or whatever it was back 2 years ago, and then just kept hammering down, people would have got the point. But everybody, Prime and some of these trucking companies fall under the illusion that, I can just go somewhere else and work. And my philosophy would be let them go somewhere else and work. But I just think it was extremely weak to let things slide as long as they did. So coming to Prime is still the best move as far as I'm concerned. I think they made they may have been a little soft on a few things. But do DMs send weather, or do they look at weather before they send you pre-plans? No, that's your job. Yep, and I knew Terry at Tim Travels would have the best way to put this. Managers need to set standards and enforce the standard instead of reacting when it becomes a problem. That right there sums it up. Couldn't have said it any better. Hetty Murphy, my dude. Boy, that's a blast from the past. Back from my cooking days, the RH3 show. One of my old subscribers back from my cooking channel days. He's you know what? He's a radio personality and might have the biggest noggin on YouTube and in radio right now. I'm just joking, but that was funny what I said about your Facebook post with that crown on. All right, let's see. Just found those YouTube weather channels that are essential for OTR drivers since they cover the national forecast. Ryan Hall is great, and I need to check out this other one that you're talking about, but Ryan Hall will break it down for you. I don't reject loads. I go anywhere and drive solo. This week I made 5. Hey, I've never had an issue with money, so I'm not you know, the only issues I've ever had with money were self-inflicted. And by self-inflicted, I mean by me taking off 25 days here right now and not having to worry about it. You know, that's pretty self-inflicted right there. But one of the things that I say, and I want anybody that's driving for me, Myra, at this point right now, is I don't want driving to be a downer. If you don't want to do something and you're not, and you don't have to, just don't do it. You know what I mean? Just don't. I mean, sure, you could do. I mean, I don't. Like I said, I rarely turn down loads. Let me just say that. And I don't want to. Hey, fill this up right quick with that wine in there.
Oh, my cooking wine. I'm joking. Love you, Lyle.
Yep, right. So it's not like I'm out here turning down a lot of loads, but if you're telling me I don't turn down any loads and you get a load right now going to Seattle, Washington, I'm telling you you're a fucking idiot. I can't say it any simpler than that right now.
Okay. I need to replace.
So you can pat yourself on the back by taking all the loads, but if you end up having to drive to Seattle right now with these storms coming in and get out, that makes no sense. I would hope that the drivers that are driving for me can at least
Sister, when I was having her shopping in the pantry,
at least be capable of rationalizing what makes sense and what doesn't.
I said, I'll replace it tomorrow. So I told her she could think them.
John, what it sounds like is Prime just needs to enforce what they've been saying that they were going to enforce like way back when. That's why every time I came to the terminal talking to my logs advisor, I would say, what's going on with, hey, are they hitting you up, you know, are they bringing stuff down on you right now? What's going on with the, you know, I'd always have a conversation about what's going on with the logs department and people abusing stuff. And she always said, well, they're not doing anything yet. All right, Cody, you live in California, man. It's like Armageddon out there. It seems like I mean, literally, I would be afraid to be driving in California or out there, even having to deal with that right now. Hey, and I'm not trying to be chaining up, even though I got auto socks and people are like, well, auto socks don't work. Listen, I don't care if they work or not. I'm not trying to use those either. Sherwin Brown, what's up? Everyday Barbecue and Cooking. Hey, I just saw that you got that 4K camera. I've been kind of checking you out on the slide. You know what? I do miss my cooking channel side, but you guys have gone way past me now, so I'm just gonna have to live off the residuals from that. I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to catch up with what's going on over there. You guys are putting in work.
Especially if it's 47 months. So all I was trying to tell you is driving back and forth every day is going to be a grind.
All right, so everyday cook. Okay, so everybody, people may not know Everyday Barbecue and Cooking, but he's somebody that comes from the cooking side because I have a barbecue channel or cooking channel called No Hippie Barbecue and Cooking. He's one of the people that I met over there, and I met him very early on in his channel, and he's taken it very serious. He's actually one of the people that really made me start thinking about the money on that side of the business, as far as not just doing a video for, you know, $1,000, $2,000 smoker, but getting paid on top of that as well. So he's somebody that kind of got me steered in that direction over there. And then well, dang, how many years has it been now? 2015. I went out to Chicago and hung out with him for about 4 or 5 days. I forget how long it was, but that was a good meeting. It's good to see Everyday Barbecue and Cooking, like with his 4G camera out there putting in that work now. If you're into barbecue and stuff like that, go check out Everyday Barbecue and Cooking.
Well, hopefully the cost of living is a tiny bit less, and that's why. And that's what
Northwest, like I said, that is scary right now. And it's not just, you know what? It's almost not as scary as it is. It's scary, but the fact that Prime or you know, it's their job to send you a load, either leaving that area or going into a bad area, and then say whatever happens is on you. I kind of got a problem with that because there are no fault accidents, and whether they agree with that or not, there are no fault accidents. And I got a problem when people are acting like everything is on you.
for like a week, 2 weeks, a month.
But that's just me. Like I said, I could be wrong about that too. But I realized when I was in Minnesota, 18 miles an hour, and I got a critical event because I jackknifed that, you know what more could I do to be safe? I can't just pull over on the side of the road because if there's an accident, boom, I'm right there. The next place is down the road. I got to get there. What are my options? But as much as as much as I've been getting on safety and, fleet managers, things like that, as easy as I could say they don't know what we're going through, I don't know what they're going through. So, now do you plan on cooking this shit tomorrow?
Yeah.
Or no, because we're going out tomorrow.
It cooks in the crock pot.
Okay, do what you gotta do, but get that shit out of the refrigerator.
Finished up eating,
What?
and I was watching.
You're in there storing shit in the refrigerator.
What?
The meat or whatever it was?
The steak I bought?
Right.
And the chicken you asked me?
I already cooked that.
But I asked you if you wanted me to get you steaks, and you said yes.
What steaks you talking about?
The steaks in the fridge.
Okay, you need to pull those out and let me see them.
I literally called and asked you about this.
I thought those were the things you were going to do in the crock pot.
No.
Okay, let's see. Is Lease regional a thing? I think it is if you're in the right region, but I don't know anything about it, so I can't talk on that.
I told you they were on sale when I was getting groceries.
What's the expiration date on that?
Let's see.
Let me see.
January 6th. Sell by. But not when it expires.
Should my son bring up? What are these here?
They were on,
Just
like I said, they were on sale. called me and asked if you wanted to get you some steaks.
Yeah, just keep those in the refrigerator.
Okay.
I'll get to that shit. All right, let's see. Let's get back. True story. I bought my chains brand new. The first winter solo, I woke up and knew I shouldn't have drove. 20 miles later, the chain lock goes in. Took 4 hours to drive 5 miles. Exactly. Yeah, some of these places, Colorado is a good example. Is sometimes they don't throw up the chain law until after the last place that you could pull over and actually park. So if you're driving through I-70, Vail, all that stuff up there west of Denver, you better know that they don't have the chain law in effect. Because, thank you. Because if they throw it up too late, you're not going to have a chance but to chain up. Let's see what we got here. All right. You might have to have my wife throw on a little Marine Corps emblem on this. Get rid of this hoodie because I ain't that damn soft. Or I need to be walking around with the hoodie. So we get rid of that. But yeah, definitely don't need the hoodie. Throw that out. It's a nice little jacket right there. All right, so what if you don't know how to install the chains? Well, I guess you got to fake it till you make it.
Oh, he said 4 to 7 months. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, none of the people that I originally followed on YouTube that were at Prime are there anymore. When will you leave? I'm not leaving. That's 100%.
Because I'm like, dude, do you understand?
Yeah, might salt brine them things. I haven't had much motivation to get back out on these grills lately, though.
Sometimes they've actually had like.
Yeah, those are New York strip.
So, can you imagine like being stuck?
But let's see, who was at Prime that you were watching before it's not there? You know, JJ the trucker. He's still at Landstar. Travis is gone. Shit, it's going to take me a long time to figure that out. One thing that I provide my family with is consistency. And there is no reason for me to leave Prime when I think my relationship with money is a little bit different than most people's relationship with money. I realize that my future net worth has very little to do with what I'm making here within $1,000. Well, let's say within $1,000 to $3,000 a month. My life's really not going to be changed all that much. I mean, unless I invested all that. But my net worth is going to be made on moves that I make with the money that I've made, not by making more money. So I think a lot of people that leave any company leave because they're looking for that extra. And some may not get it at all. I know somebody that's coming back right now. I know 2 people actually that are coming back to Prime right now. One was a YouTube sensation. But I think as soon as I see people leave a company and they say that they're going to leave because they're making more money, and either sometimes I can tell what their lifestyle is by looking at Facebook or whatever, and I realize that that money is not going to go anywhere but to support their hobbies and stuff like that. To me, I'll end up making more money in the long run than somebody that makes 20% more than me, 25% more than me, just because I don't bullshit around when it comes to money. So why am I going to leave? I'm making enough money to do what I got to do. Let me take a look at my camera. 78%, 75%. Okay, I'm good. Do I ever psych myself up by saying "Hoorah, Marine Corps" by yourself in the cab of the truck in the middle of the night? No, I don't do that. As a matter of fact, I treat the Marine Corps well. I have a lot of friends that I'm still friends with from the Marine Corps, but I don't really think about it on a day-to-day basis. That's why I try to at least kind of wear some of the clothes. Hey, Andrea. 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 Hello?
I'm on the phone, what?
This is the one to put that round patch on. That Marine Corps
Okay,
patch.
all right, love you, bye.
Yep, love you. That's all you gotta do.
Okay. No, I'm sorry, what? I was on
The
phone.
round Marine Corps patch. The one that you put on the other coat that's about that color.
So where's that other coat so I can get the patch?
It's in the bedroom. In the closet.
Okay.
Or you can put the Wu-Tang on that. I don't care. Wu-Tang be good too.
I would embroider that directly on.
Good. Whatever you gotta do.
You mean like that, how I did it on that shirt?
Yeah, you don't even gotta put the Pete stuff on it, just the
No
Wu-Tang thing.
peeking, just the,
Yeah.
are you okay with the outline or do you want it filled in?
No, the outline's fine.
Okay.
All right, so let's see. That was the first time I ever changed up on
Wait,
the
this
side
is
of.
Marines, Greens Marines.
What's that?
Greens Marines.
Oh, what would be sweet is if you do the Wu-Tang thing and then instead of the Peterbilt shit in the middle of the Wu-Tang thing, put Marines in the middle of that. That would be the shit
do
right
that.
there. Don't have me come out there hitting you guys up with the Marine Wu-Tang.
Marines, Marine Corps or just Marine?
Just Marines.
Marines, plural. Marines.
Yep. Oh man, that's gonna be sweet. Have the Wu-Tang logo with the Marines going through it. That'll be damn near as disrespectful as everybody out here driving with these flags hanging out the back of their truck. But I'm fine with that. All right, let's see. Okay, we already got there. That was the first time you ever had to train up on the side of a mountain, 10-degree weather. I understand. Not interested. Yeah, nothing about the Northeast that I'm trying to be even messing with. Now, the summertime, I really don't even like it in the summer. I really don't like the Northeast and the Northwest any time of the year. I hate them like equally. I mean, I hate the Northeast more, but I hate them equally no matter what time of the year. Hanging up reefer, leaving Prime after 8 years, hey, I understand. Burnout could be real. Crazy Bags, well, okay, we all know why he left. David H. Chad. I think Blake is still at Prime. I'm not a. Well, yeah, I think he's still at Prime. Crazy Bags, I think that was his own doing right there. David H. The only question I had with David H. There was a time that there was a driver by the name of, what's his name? Trucker Dude Brent. I actually brought him over to Prime. I'm not saying I was 100% responsible, but we did talk about it before he came over. And he did a video one time talking about how much money he made. And David H. thought that he was lying about how much money he was making. And that made me think that since he didn't think that what Trucker Dude Brent was saying was possible, that he probably wasn't making the money that he should have been making. which caused them to leave. I don't know if that's true or not or whatever, but anybody that really ran would know that what Trucker Dude Brent was talking about was real, legitimate numbers. Now, like I said, I disagree with people putting out numbers because nobody's there putting out them numbers when they got that $700 tow or they got that, $4,000 in tires. They got whatever's going on. It's until you drove for about at least 18 months. That's when your numbers are going to kind of catch up with you. That's when being negative for one reason or another is going to catch up with you. But Trucker Dude Brent did put out them numbers, and David H. did say that he thought he was lying or those numbers weren't real, and I'm here to tell you that those numbers were real. And the only reason somebody would say that they aren't real is if they didn't think it was capable. So I think he left because he was maybe underperforming by his fault or somebody else's fault. I don't know. Chad, don't know anything about Chad. I haven't heard anything about Busy Blake leaving Prime, but I think Truck Money BG he was offering to send me some money by, what do they call that? Cash App, but I don't even know what Cash App is. I'm too old to fuck with that. He was going to send me some money for a drink, but I think he just turned in his truck and he's going to take some time off before he gets into another lease. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get his number and call him while I'm off these next 21 days. Callie's Trucking Adventure. Just talked to her maybe 2 weeks ago. Ran into her maybe a month ago out in Salt Lake City. She's out there still teaming, still with Prime. She's killing it. So she's still at Prime, Callie. Kitty the trucker, I think, left. I never really talked to her at all, but I don't think she's at Prime anymore. Now, Trucker Nene, she went out and did her own thing. Went complete owner-op, all that kind of stuff. And she got hit with some pretty big bills right off the bat. And then, I don't know if she's driving right now. I think she's just like, the rates aren't high enough. I'm just sitting in my truck and I'm not driving. So she's still doing good, living her best life for all I could see. She's just, when people say, I'm not driving for X amount of dollars per mile, she's putting her fucking money where her mouth is where that is. And actually, Trucker Nene is who I gave my referral to when I came to Prime. Peruvian trucker, I'm going to need to get with you to get me Trucker BG's phone number. I'm going to be asking you for that tomorrow, so I don't know if you need to go through the whole, requesting if he can give you the number and all that kind of stuff. So if you have to do that tonight, because I'm going to be asking you for that number tomorrow. Is there any max age you're allowed to drive a truck till? That would be against... you can't discriminate against age, race, sexual orientation, all that kind of stuff. So no, as long as you're capable of getting a CDL, nobody can turn you down for that as long as you meet physical requirements and all that kind of stuff. So no. BG is halfway through his 50 days. I wouldn't know because he only puts out a video every 40 days. I think you have to run one load every 30 days with Prime. What I might do, I'm not exactly sure because I'm not sure. I got this other truck coming in supposedly in February. depending on what's going on, I may just pick up one load here in Denver, do a local load, 10 miles, and then extend that 30 days out a bit. And Peruvian trucker, just email or text me his damn phone number if he gives you the permission to do it. But kind of what I've been thinking about is just slowing it down a bit. Put somebody in this truck coming in, have Myra, then me just kind of run kind of light, but have that truck I'm running more of like a spare truck. I mean, I'll run it, but not like super. Like I'm not trying to be out there 6, 7, 8 weeks at a time. So cut that back, and then if a truck breaks down, be like, all right, where are you at? Let me get a load out there, and then have you kind of use that truck as a breakdown truck, and then I just hang out in a hotel while I was getting fit. Whatever, I don't know, but I'm trying to slow things down just a tad bit. I don't think Prime is overwhelmed with students right now. As a matter of fact, I think it's pretty light. What I do think is happening is a lot of people that used to work with Prime are coming back. So I've spoke with 2 people just recently, one maybe 3 days ago, that's thinking about coming back, or will come back if Prime will let them come back. Experienced drivers coming to Prime, Daniel. I think that is one of the areas that Prime is not the best at, because in order to understand how Prime runs things or what they want it done, you almost have to go through the training program. So I would suggest, if you actually plan on going through Prime, to get with somebody. If you don't know anybody, my phone number is in the description of most of my videos. Go give me a call, and then I can walk you through some of the stuff. But they are really they're just downright bad at that. Anybody in here that's worked at other companies, came to Prime as experienced drivers, can tell you that they don't teach you shit about what they expect. Whether it's macros, arriving at shippers, leaving shippers, phone calls when you're leaving shippers, none of that stuff. So get with somebody that knows kind of the system, or can walk you through the system, because Prime will not do a good job at that. I will say that. Can't go wrong with heavy haul. I have no problem with people that are scaling up, especially. I don't think that I would be going, even in my younger days, I don't think that I would ever go flatbed at Prime unless I was thinking about scaling up into something bigger, heavy haul, stuff like that. If you have a goal at Prime as far as that goes on the flatbed side, that makes sense to me. So I applaud you for making the move. And I just starting at Prime with your CDL or your CDLs. He's an overachiever, has like multiple CDLs. But hey, if you have your CDL but you're new, that's different than a CDL but you've drove for a while before. If you've drove for a while before, you might want to hook up with somebody that knows the system, because as Tim Travels just put down here, he had to pick up everything on the fly when he came to Prime. So they really don't go over the system all that much. Could you do 5 to 6 weeks and 3 weeks off and keep? Probably not profitable. Could I do it and do what I need to do? Probably, but I don't think it would be profitable. Yeah, I can't see that being profitable. Now, what I did do was 5 to 6 weeks off and 10 to 11 days off. Like I'm doing 25 days off now after being out for damn near 9 weeks. So you're saying, could you do that at 5 weeks? I don't see it happening. Going straight lease after TNT, you know what? Sometimes it's the luck of the draw. And if you got enough money behind you, then you're good to go. If you don't, failure could just be you picked the wrong truck. You got in the wrong lane. So a lot of times I'd say that there are a lot of, if you took all the lease drivers, all the company drivers, and actually compared what they made at the end of the year, once you get done talking about time off, all this kind of stuff, the 401k match that you don't get, less money for insurance, whatever you want to say, the difference is not that much for most. Now, there's some that are going to be doing exceedingly well, but for the most part, the difference is not that big. Now, I personally couldn't go company because I wasn't going to be doing no 5 or 4 days. I wasn't going to do a month. Like I've been home 4 days. Now. What day did I get home? I think I got home on the 1st. Like I've already been, like I don't even feel like I've been home yet. And I'd have already had to come back out of the house already. So I just wasn't going to be doing that as a company driver. So that's the only reason I wouldn't. But money is not the, it's easy saying you can make all the money when you're leasing until you get hit with them. Like I said, I got hit with that $560 tow bill, and they didn't actually even tow the truck. So that would have been even more money if they actually towed the truck. It's easy till you've, Tim Travels. I don't know what's going on with his situation because I didn't watch his last video, but his truck just went down in Wichita, Kansas. I don't know if he's still sitting there, but they were saying he couldn't get to his truck until Monday or something like that. So do you got the money to withstand that 5-6 days without getting paid? Plus make that truck payment. Now, as a regular lease driver, you don't have to worry. But you can get paid breakdown pay, but that's basically going to equal your payment. So do you got money to withstand that? A lot of people can't. A lot of people want to lease because they think it's cool. And Terry just said it. Tim Travels, $1,600 tow bill. Do they have trouble keeping trainers? Don't think I want to do that job. Some people don't have good common sense. Hard to say, man. Training to me is I had a good time training all the people that I trained, but it just wears on you a lot. No matter how good they, and I had excellent students. All my students, I vouch for all of them. Excellent students. Even people that are talking about land shark transport. That was a good student right there. He has solar power tendencies, but a good student. I'm not sure I train in the wintertime. Like me driving in, Minnesota, 18 miles an hour, and there was nowhere to stop, had to get somewhere. Would I want a student driving that? Probably not. But like I say with anything, if you got the money put away, whether it's an emergency fund at Prime or you got money sitting somewhere else, you don't stress out about stuff like this. If your truck goes down or you have a bad week or whatever it is, you're not going to be stressed out about it. And that's where I like to be. Do company first so you learn to run your clock and save money before you need. Because, the economy is a little bit weak with loads right now. You know what? I will never disagree with anybody going company straight out the bat, learning their stuff, and then going lease after that, even if they find that lease is the route that they want to go. There are plenty of company drivers I know that are Prime that have been company drivers for 12, 15 years. So just to kind of recap what we've gone through with this was basically anything that you guys wanted to talk about that is Prime related. I said I wanted to talk about Prime more than people that don't work at Prime that are in the Facebook groups right now, because those people really like talking about Prime. People that aren't at Prime, those are the people that really want to talk about Prime. So I want to talk about Prime that much. And then I was saying that you can't see me because I'm like Tony Yayo up in here with my camouflage on. But any topics that you guys want to talk about, I got 67% on my batteries, so we could go. One thing I will say in all this about the personal conveyance and all this kind of stuff, I did go to my logs advisor and I did tell my logs advisor that I did dabble in the gray area on a certain day, because you know what? If we're a team, I got to let you know, if we're going to be a true team, I got to let you know when I've kind of stepped off the reservation a little bit, just so there's 100% trust between us. So I went to her and I said, listen, here's the deal. Here's why I did it. I did it in a smart way. Nobody's going to see it. I've even got inspected since this has happened. Nobody saw it, but this is what happened. This is why I did it. My first lease, I put 10 cents a mile in my e-fund, didn't touch it for 3 years. So it had almost 30K in it. When I turned in the truck, added to the lease bonus. That's good stuff right there. I put in 20 cents a mile for both trucks. So that usually stacks up pretty quick. And when the next truck comes in, we're going to be putting 20 cents in on that as well too. And for those people that are thinking about driving for private fleets, that's another thing I want to talk about, is because I had somebody reach out to me and we're talking about it. And sometimes somebody's ethics and their money just do not align correctly. So you could have somebody that has all the ethics in the world saying, listen, if this happens, I got your back. I'll pay you for this. I'll pay you for that. And then when the shit actually happens and they don't have the money, that's when the problems start happening. So I've had a few people ask me about it recently because they're coming out of training, thinking about doing it. And what I'm going to say is that as awkward as it may be a question to ask, I would probably ask, what's your financial situation looking like? Because I'm not going to be wanting to have a truck broke down for X amount of days and me not, I'm not going to want to have to be worried about not only how am I going to get paid, but am I going to get paid because of what's going on in this person's life, whether it's personal or business. California, one legit freight truck, and I heard that the weather is going to be getting horrible out there in the next day. Hey, where are you living? I don't know how to say that. My eyes are a little blurry right now, but whoever just said hello from California, where are you from in California? Just want to get a quick weather update out there right now. How many miles could you get at Prime right now? It's really hard to say. I don't really look at the miles, whether it's me or the girl that's driving my truck, but shoot, as a matter of fact, let me take a look. No, I can't. I think she just did 2,500 miles this week. I'm not sure. I think that's what she did this week. That was probably actually better than what most people are doing, but how many miles you can get has to do with what lane you're driving in. If you've been stuck on Wyoming or stuck on I-80 in Wyoming the last 3 days or 4 days, it doesn't matter how many loads you should have got this week, and when you should have delivered, you ain't moving. So it's hard to really say. Modesto. That's usually a good area up there. I don't know. Are you guys going to be getting any snow or anything up there? Uh, I don't have anything good or bad to say about Wilson Logistics as far as training or anything like that goes. I think Wilson tries to align themselves as close to Prime as possible in a lot of the things they do. Uh, there is a channel out there that he's not saying where he works anymore, but his channel is Trucker Richie Rich. If you just type in Richie Rich, probably Prime would work the best because he actually came from Prime, but he's at Wilson right now. He talks about Wilson a bit, but I personally don't know anything about him. I've never met anybody that doesn't like him. Yeah, last time I went to Modesto, or the last time I actually stayed in Modesto, I was on my way to San Francisco, but that was in like last time I actually stayed there. It had to have been 1990. 1989, 1990? Because I was thinking about going to the Culinary Institute of America in San Francisco. So I lived in San Diego at the time and drove up there to check it out. So Modesto was a stopping point where we stopped because I was running a little bit early. Are you still training? I need one. No, I'm not training right now. I'm not sure when I'm going to be training again, but I'm not even sure that, I've respected all my students, stuff like that. I've never really had any arguments, anything like that with them. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, I don't know if there's any of my former trainees that are in this live right now, but I wouldn't say that I would necessarily be the easiest person to work for or be on the truck with, because I am extremely anal about shit. A lot of trainers, you get out there and you could go, and you can go eat at all these different places. You can go explore everywhere, and you can go do. I'm not about that. I'm about getting it there early, and then, chilling. And that leads to a lot of boring shit. Like, I look at some of these trainers, and they're out there showing pictures from every different steakhouse and every different thing, and they're out there doing it. I just have not fell into that where I can do that. It wasn't pills, but it was It was just some of that. I'm just trying to flush out right now since I'm at home. But my knuckles aren't that ashy right now. But shoot, ashy knuckles, that's like a, you know what, that's a reflection of the grind right there. And one thing I will say is that I recently understood that maybe I wasn't, you know, I always thought I was flying under the radar a little bit, like nobody was watching what I was doing at Prime. And I noticed recently that I had reason to believe that recently that maybe it wasn't. And I hope that nobody takes, you know, umbrage over anything that I'm saying regarding things that I'm not liking. Because overall, I have no issues with it. All right, let's see. Okay, so Johnny said you are satisfied at Prime. If something changed, is there another company you would consider? And ones you would never consider? Never really thought about it because I'm not planning on leaving Prime. If I did, see, because I'm 100% serious about this. Anybody that I bring in, so let's say it's Myra or any other driver that I bring in, I'm not only making decisions based on myself, I'm making decisions based on them as well. And I'm not gonna put them in a position where they're always worried about, like I said, the greatest gift that I can give my family, anybody around me, is stability. So I don't want anybody thinking that I'm looking for anything better or I'm trying to go any place other than Prime. So if something happened, so let's say I couldn't work or something like that, then I would just at that point leave my trucks at Prime and then have them drive through Prime. If something happened where I was forced to leave Prime, I'd probably just go. I can't even think about that. I mean, there's a bunch of places I wouldn't go, but I'm not thinking about going anywhere. Actually, I don't see anything wrong with Swift. I think that's another thing that people. One of my pet peeves is when I'm looking at the Prime Inc. student page and they start posting stuff about Swift drivers and stuff like that. These are people that don't even have a CDL yet that are laughing about people that have a CDL that got in a bad position. So I don't know what Swift is being considered, but I've never thought Swift was a bad company. And I know, and I've seen a lot of people been at Swift for years and years and years. So, and you know what I do is I do immerse myself in what's going on in the trucking industry. And what I did listen to was a video that Swift put out, and they had higher ups at Swift go out with truck drivers, and so they could see what happened, you know, what was going on from the truck driver perspective. And I thought that was awesome. And it was something that I wish Prime would do. And they actually did it. So they saw what was going on and out on the road. I got to give them credit for that. Prime is keeping an eye on you and Terry. Terry's the one that says some crazy shit. I'm just out here. Every now and then I get a little upset about something. I put it out there. I think I'm doing well. I think that I represent Prime well. And if I do say something that might upset somebody, I think that The only reason that you would take offense to it is that you're not concerned about actually making progress, but you're concerned about what it looks like. Yeah, but Terry will go all in. I'm not. Terry is a different. Terry will go a little bit deeper than me on this. I just say I'm irritated about certain things, and I do. To me, some of these things are common sense. Things that, like this PC stuff, it even getting to the position it's in, to me, it makes literally no sense that we're at this point, that it hasn't been reined in over the last couple of years. Because like I said, I've mentioned this every time I go into the logs department since I knew it was an issue a while back. How we're still dealing with this, I don't know. I think that what Jason Seymour is putting out is, it's easy to say these numbers are, because I can tell you that my driver makes more than that. But when that number comes in, what's that? When that number comes in, I don't know if they're using weeks off, all those kind of things. To me, I wouldn't even look at those numbers. And to me, those numbers are like statistics. You can make statistics say whatever you want them to say.
Okay, what next?
Don't drive for publicly traded companies or companies who invest in autonomous trucks. Yeah, Prime's not publicly traded. If they were, I would buy stock in them right now, because I did buy stock in Swift Knight, and I think they're breaking even right now. Autonomous trucks, that is so far down the line. Man, we can't even fucking handle a lumper situation, and you got motherfuckers out here worried about autonomous trucks. That's the last thing I'll be worried about. Can you see an autonomous truck checking in at the receiver with these disrespectful ass people out there? But they're going to say, okay, well, these autonomous trucks are just going to go, and then they're going to post up, and then there are going to be local drivers that take it the last mile. Come on now. I mean, I'm 54 years old. I'm not even now, some of you guys are maybe 20, may have to worry about it. I don't see it being an issue. Yeah, I can imagine that, Joe, just a little bit. Let's see, what we were talking about earlier was I tell you what, if Prime did say they had an issue with any of my videos, you know what I would do, unlike, less fortunate people that maybe left Prime over those situations. If Prime said, Lyle, we don't want you to do videos, you know what I would say? Yes, sir, I'm out. Because some people are too much about keeping it real, and they're more, they're about keeping it real and not keeping a real, roof over their head or wheels under their feet, stuff like that. But anyway, shoot, what are we in here? think I've stayed a little bit longer than I was even actually planning on staying, but probably gonna get out of here. Don't see any more comments coming in. Let's see. Uh-oh, let's see. A lot of people are going to quit because sometimes you call fleet manager taking a long time to. Man, if somebody quits over some dumb shit like that, then there's other reasons why they should have quit before that. Should Prime pay drivers a daily rate to shut down in bad weather enough to cover some food and truck payment? Man, that's a hard one. I think yes for company drivers, no for lease drivers.
Damn, that's a nice looking patch.
Which one are you talking about?
The Marines.
You got it over there?
Yeah.
You bring it over here. I'm gonna show you this Marine Corps patch my wife put on this other jacket. So she has a little embroidery machine. Not like Prime, but boom. That's all like not hand stitching, but done with the machine that we got out here. Keep telling her to turn that machine into money, because that right there, that's a lot of work. So she did that one. That's gonna go on that green jacket that I just bought. This is an older green jacket. And then for those Peterbilt fans out there, we got the Wu-Tang Peak Gang embroidery right there. So
Okay. Thank you.
all right.
This is a prettier
yeah.
green. The new one's a prettier green. Excuse me, a more manly, gorgeous green.
They're all fine.
More handsome green. Actually,
Did you notice that the new director of safety got a little irritable during the meeting today? Well, listen.
Where are they? That seam over. Never mind. Found it.
I don't know what the inner workings are going on at Prime, stuff like that, but when I saw that he got promoted to that position, I felt that he had to have been pretty gung-ho in what he was doing in general all along. So maybe this was the first time that he really had a chance to voice his opinion, and when the buck stops with him. So sometimes new managers, that's what they do. They kind of implement some shit. If I could get paid a decent guaranteed hourly wage, would I ever consider going company? No, I would not go company unless there was some additional home time based into that. That's the only reason I do it. So, I mean, people that don't know me don't understand. When I tell people that it's not I mean, it is about the money, but it's not about the money. So it's when I tell people that are driving for me, if you don't like a load, don't take a load. That means if you don't like a load, don't take a load. It has nothing to do with what loads are paying. I don't care if you don't want the load, don't take the load. It's that simple. So it has nothing to do with how much you get paid for rates or doing this or whatever. It's the time for me. So for me, it's the time. So I want to have long periods of time off if possible. And I'm going to try to focus more on that. With my other driver, it was more flexibility than it was time or money. Now she's got more flexible, she's making more money, but it was that triggered her. Sometimes people always think it's the money. That's the reason to go do some stuff. No, it's not always that. Peruvian trucker, I haven't had no problems with my Pete, period. And when it's time for me to sell that bad boy, trust me, it's going to be going for a little bit more money than a Freightliner would be. And you can what you're gonna need to do is save about $3,000-4,000 for your deductible when you go get your back surgery from bouncing around in that goddamn Cascadia for the next 2 years.
Okey-dokey. And she's good.
Mr. Lowe said he's paying taxes on the truck. He shouldn't even have to do that. I even got,
Towels are full.
man, you have people that aren't happy about shit. Because you know what happened? Somebody posted that in Facebook. Hey, Mr. Lowe's paying taxes on the truck. The Prime's giving away. You still had people bitching about that stuff. So sometimes I wouldn't even have done that. Sometimes I just feel that motherfuckers are just too ungrateful. But I did see that, so it makes me happy that I'm not going to have to pay taxes on that truck because you guys know the fix is in. I'm the chosen one. One of them trucks is mine. I didn't tell them exactly which one I wanted yet, but that's coming down the pipe. Is it good turning in a good running standard lease truck to go lease purchase? I would say that it depends on where you're at. I gave up about $5,800 in lease completion bonus to go lease purchase, and to me it makes sense. But when you're stepping into a lease purchase, you know, some people step into it. As a matter of fact, somebody I know that's driving for another person, there's two people. You got the regular lease purchase person that has their own truck. Then you have a lease purchase person that has another driver driving for them. They aren't babying you the same way. If the truck goes down, the truck goes down. You ain't like deferring payments, and you can. I think you can go negative, but you aren't going to a class and they're like, "Would you like defer payments?" No, you ain't doing that. And if the truck breaks down and you're down for 3 weeks, the breakdown pay you get for 3 weeks is what we call Richard. And what is Richard? That is dick. You get dick if your truck is down. So it's a different mentality. They're not going to be, babying the same way. So it depends on that. If you plan on being and I hate calling it a fleet because it's not, I don't consider it a fleet, but if you have people driving for you, you need to figure that there are too many people that are more intrigued in having people drive for them than their own financial stability. So they'll have people driving for them. The truck breaks down. Then all of a sudden they're like, well, I can break down my payment, I can break down my payments to you like over the next 3 weeks or something like that. You know what? You shouldn't have got into this without the right backing. So my question is, lease purchase is always good to get into if you got the money behind you. As the owner of your own fleet, which I don't like calling my shit a fleet, do you have to hire drivers to go through Prime, or can you hire anyone? You have to hire somebody that's already gone through, that's hired with Prime, then you can pull them over. Now, I've heard there are some issues pulling. I haven't seen this with my driver, but I've heard maybe sometimes that they will tell you you're paying it. As a matter of fact, I did hear this one time when me and Myra were in there. You're paying too much for this, which maybe they might have been right on that. But they have to have gone through the program, and sometimes they'll allow you to pull people that are maybe company drivers, and sometimes they won't. I don't know what it is, but they've had to have been in the system already. Yeah, no fleet admiral bullshit. So I'm just out here really just trying to relax, okay? So tomorrow I'm gonna come in here, do my expenses, What's up, Twisted D? I was watching your video last night, even though I did not comment in that, but I did watch your live last night. At least a good portion of it. So, Twisted D, are you one of the fleets out there that is having to like call their fleet manager and talk about if you want to use personal conveyance? I didn't think it was a train wreck last night, but you know, whatever. Fleet General, no. Well, I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know what's going on with that. To me, like I said, I think there's a combination of things why this came to a head. I think that people have been doing shit for too long. That's one reason. And then why safety is the reason this gets brought in, I don't know. But then you got the new safety person, so it could be something that he's been sitting on for a while. Like he could have been sitting there for 2 years. Like, man, if I ever get this job, I'm cracking down on this shit. So this could be some shit he's been thinking about for 2 years, and now has a chance to implement it and go in full force in it. There's nothing wrong with using PC. This is not that hard. I mean, everything at Prime is broke down. You have an entire fleet, then you have fleet managers. I mean, once it's broke down once you break it down, it would be easy to handle the situations. Even if you had to even if you said, you know what, it's too much for an entire fleet or for us to like patrol an entire fleet, then break that fleet into two and have somebody looking at that. But there's no reason this should have got to this point. I'm transferring from company to lease operator. Is this a wise decision? It depends on how much money you got behind you. It's always the money behind you. What do I think the impact would be if all PC use was removed for Prime drivers? I think that it would cost money for people that use PC the way it should be used. Is really what I think would happen. Because when I'm on the road, ask anybody that's training with me. I don't stop at no Walmarts. I don't stop. I stock my truck up before I go out. What I got is what I got. I ain't out there PCing to Walmart doing all that kind of stuff. I'll PC to a truck stop. I'll PC, after, deliver, I'm going to PC to the next truck stop. If that truck stop just happens to have a blue beacon in it, it just happens to have a blue beacon in it. But for people using it recklessly all the time, I don't know what the impact's going to be on them. I think it's going to cost a lot of money, and I think that the amount of money it could cost Prime might end up making them rethink that decision. I mean, just think of how much, I thought about this the other day. I was up in, not this last time I was in Minnesota, but the time I was at Minnesota before. Pulled into the receiver, Mankato, uh, Walmart. Pulled in there, PC to my dock, did all that stuff, went off duty, sleeper berth. Stayed there for 3 hours, got unloaded, PC to a truck stop that was the closest place to park, 20 miles away. So now I'm almost let's just round off. I'm almost 4 hours into my break at this point. I get a load the next morning that had I not already been starting my break, I wouldn't have been able to get to, because I would have had to go on duty to, well, I guess I could have split it at that point, but I got a full 10 out of that situation as opposed to having to do a split and lose. Like, actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna have to think back to this, because I don't think I did get a split. I might have been able to do 8-2 split or something like that, but I wouldn't have got. It doesn't matter. I was able to get a full 10-hour break based on what the circumstances were, because I didn't have to go back on the drive line, and that's gonna shut down things, legitimate things like that, if they just pull it. And there's no reason to babysit PC. It's easy. If you've abused it or you've got caught in inspection or whatever, then you lose it. The Fairy Wire is in the house. I appreciate her like dodging all this weather, but like I said, she was just out in Denver. She said she's never stopping at the Denver yard again, but she stopped at the new Denver yard, and that place is like criminally icy right now. My wife and me, she came to pick me up when I dropped my truck off out there. My 4-wheel drive truck could not even like move on this pavement barely. It was that icy. We had to pay $565 to get her truck towed. She actually didn't even have to get towed. They called the tow truck. She'd already worked her way out of it. $565 just because that place was that bad. If your trainer used PC to go to the shipper in the morning, he's part of the fucking problem. So, Alex, your trainer is part of the problem we're talking about right here. What I mean behind what do you mean by money behind you? I asked the question earlier whether it was wise to go. Money behind you means cash in the bank. You know, if something happens, if your truck goes down for 3 weeks and you don't get paid for 3 weeks, you got the money behind you to not worry about it. It means that you're not going to be the person on Facebook whining that your truck went down and now you can't, pay your bills. That's what I mean by money behind you. Just like any normal business, truck drivers don't relate to things the same way that normal business people do. Money behind you means you're able to go through the good times and the bad times. You stack up during the good times, and then you coast through the bad times with the money that you have stacked up. That's what I mean. And they're far, like I said, the difference between somebody successful in a lease and not successful in a lease is them going through their TNT training and have Success Leasing say, hey, John, there's 2 Freightliners out there that are brand new, 2023 Freightliners, and they're both green and they both have 0 miles on it. And you pick the wrong one that's going to be in the shop, that could be what makes you fail. That simple. I talked to a girl that was from Jamaica or something like that. She was doing well, took time off, went home to Jamaica, all this kind of stuff, came out of Hometime, boom, got hit at a truck stop. Now she's down. Now her truck needs to go in the shop, all this kind of stuff. And you know what you're saying? Well, won't the insurance company pay for that? Not anytime soon. Myra got hit at a truck stop a while back. We've had to spend time getting that shit, had looked at, all this kind of stuff. Still hasn't got fixed, but it's cost time and money to get that stuff handled. So sometimes it's luck. Like literally, if you go into a lease and you don't have money stacked up, it's luck. And sometimes, listen, I'm not that lucky. All you guys that can pray and, believe that somebody's going to save you, that's for you guys. I don't have that to lean on. I got to make rational decisions. And make rational decisions for the people driving for me. So when I just get done paying out a bonus that's a lot of money, I can't just pray that money's going to be there. It's got to be there. And Myra, if you're still watching this, the West Coast is going to be really jacked up for a while. Please don't go out there for no reason. Yeah, definitely read any contract. As a matter of fact, Bill, if you're still on here, check out Tim Travels. His name is Terry. He has a channel, Tim Travels. He actually broke down the lease contract at Prime, broke it down to his very last compound. Go check out his channel and see if you can find that video. He went through it. He's a lawyer. So he broke it down and he was fine with it. He did a video on it a while back. Maybe about 8 months ago. 9 months ago. I mean, people want to, that's the question that I get because I have my phone number in the description of my videos. I get people calling, texting, asking questions. Should I lease? Is lease bad? This, that, the other. Think about it like this. You have a doctor. You have a doctor that's, we'll call him the owner-operator, has his own authority. He's paying for his own office space, paying for his equipment, paying for office staff, paying all that kind of stuff. So you have him. You have somebody that's maybe an anesthesiologist that doesn't have the overhead of an office. Maybe he's sort of you would consider a lease person. And he floats from hospital to hospital, does things like that. He's kind of a floater, but he gets paid for... he gets paid for what he does, but he doesn't really own anything. And then you have a nurse, a full RN, doesn't have any responsibility whatsoever, getting paid W-2 benefits, all this kind of stuff. I've done loans for all three of those type of people, and once you take in consideration debt for schooling, all this kind of stuff, there's really not that much of a difference between all three. Now, each three of those three have an advantage, but it's not something that just sticks out at you. A good nurse, I would say a good nurse, if you want to compare and asking, should you go lease or a good nurse, and I know this is off the reservation a bit, but a good nurse a lot of times will make more than a doctor. You're right about that, Troy. I'd keep personal finances to a low out here. I'm hoping I win that Dodge truck because I got the same Dodge truck out in the driveway, but it's a 2009, and the bumper is like kind of starting to rust a little bit, and I could use a new truck. My wife's car, I don't even know what hers is. She's rocking a 2011 BMW X5. It might be time to make a move up, but I'm about no debt. I would rather have no debt than look good. I mean, I look good. I'm just saying. So that's my advice for people coming from lease or company lease. Have some money set aside, have your personal finances set up, and then another question somebody asked me about, and I'm just going through my mind things people ask me. Trip planning. You know what? Getting out and running is the best trip plan ever. I really don't sit there and think, okay, I'm gonna just like stop here. I'm gonna do this. I really don't. I get a load and I fucking run that shit. And then once I'm like running and I'm like within an hour or two, then I might think about where I'm gonna stop. I mean, you cannot beat somebody out running with a good trip plan. So I really don't think, if I have time, I'll delve into it. But getting busy is the best trip plan out there. For Peterbilt, how much maintenance can you do at a terminal versus having to take it to the dealership? First of all, I don't want people at the terminal fucking with my Peterbilt either way. So, or at a truck stop. So I mean, there's certain things they could do there, oil change, fixing maybe coolant, and so it depends on what it is. Personally, I take my truck to the shop every time I'm on home time. So I get my oil changed a lot sooner than most people do. I don't, it's easy to change out headlights, and it's even easier for me to tell somebody else to do it. So I have them do that almost every time that I come back home. Updating computer system, updating updating any computer system, stuff like that. I do that every single time I come home. The benefit of having Peterbilt in Springfield is way better than anything that you could get at a turn. Like if you had a Freightliner and you were in Springfield and you said, I have an appointment at the terminal and I don't have an appointment at Springfield Peterbilt, you will get in and out of Springfield Peterbilt faster than the person that says, I have a Freightliner and I have an appointment at the Springfield terminal. So I really don't have much work done at the terminal. APU, stuff like that, then I'll do that, but not really. Can you get home time once a month as a company driver? Yes, for 4 days. And if you have a good relationship with your fleet manager, maybe more than 4 days, or if you've stayed out longer. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not a company driver, so I don't know that for sure. But a good route is to find somebody that has a couple trucks at Prime, run into them, then you can get a little bit more flexibility. Do due diligence on their finances, though, if you can. Someone told me a while ago someone starting leasing should have enough in the bank to cover 6 months worth of all their personal. I would agree with that. I'm not saying that you can't be successful without that, but let's put it this way. I've done lease purchases on 3 trucks at Prime. I've put down money, let's put it that way, on 3 lease purchases at Prime. Let's say the average, that's about $60,000. Well, let's say $50,000, because I still owe $10,000 on the next one. So right now I'm left with about, and I just paid out. Shout out to Myra, happy Thanksgiving or whatever. Not Thanksgiving, but Merry Christmas. But I'm feeling a little low right now, and after all that, I'm looking at about 30,000. So it's all what you feel comfortable with, but you just have to realize at some point the chickens come home to roost. So you could do it on a string and a prayer and then hope that things go right. Or, I mean, even think about this. If I have $30,000 in my emergency fund, if a truck goes down, and Myra's a trooper on this, if truck goes down and she's somewhere, her first inclination is, okay, I'm going to try to stay in the truck. So, but let's say she doesn't. So the truck goes down and it's going to take 6 days for the truck to get worked on. So 6 days in the hotel, let's just even say low numbers. That's $600. Then the truck's not profitable for 6 days. So let's, count that whatever you want to count it, because it's a lease purchase. You don't get no breakdown pay. Then you got to pay your driver for sitting. So, or you don't have to, but I prefer to do that. So how much money is that clipping off of that 30 grand just right there? So I feel uncomfortable with that. It's just what you feel comfortable with. Some people might feel comfortable with that. Some people don't. Donner Pass. I'm not even trying to mess with Donner Pass until like May, maybe April. Yeah, Tim, I already told him about that lease video that you did, because you probably broke it down more than anybody else that I've seen break down that lease. But my thing is this: if you're thinking about going lease or lease purchase or whatever it is, or even, I would even say company, even to some degree, because it's not guaranteed money, is be frugal. Think about how much money things cost that you spend money on. Everybody out here trying to get like a little, Dodge Charger, Red Eye, or Challenger, Red Eye, whatever it is. Listen, as soon as you start paying $1,000 a month on a car, think about how much that's costing you like down the road. And it takes discipline to do it, because it's hard to like part with that money. For me, it's because I'd want to have that car. I want to like be out there, driving that shit around. But it takes discipline to be like, you know what? That $1,000 I'm spending on that could be going right into $1,000 in Amazon stock right now, or whatever stuff that's actually going to lead to something. I think that a lot of people that fail in leases or in trucking, let's put trucking, forget prime. A lot of people that I see in trucking, by watching videos or hearing stories, that are failing because they are buying a bunch of shit that they don't need. Stuff that's not making money. I watched a video where they were talking about the mindset between people that are broke, people that are middle class, and people that are rich. Said it's not about how much money you make, it's what your relationship is with money. Broke people money
are good friends.
What's that?
Money are good friends.
Broke people try to make enough money to pay their bills. Middle class people try to make enough money to have good enough credit to buy shit on credit and be able to pay for it. Rich people try to make money that makes money down the road. That's where I'm trying to be. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not getting into. I don't like trucking. I keep saying this shit. So if I don't like it, why am I going to prolong the inevitable? So what I'm doing with trucking is I'm going to invest as much money as I can in stuff that's going to make money down the road, so I don't have to do this shit as long as it could be possible. So I'm cash now, period. I mean, I got a credit card at the bank and I pay that shit off but cars, no. Credit cards, no. Like, I don't have any debt whatsoever. And that's why it's easy for me to say to my wife, hey, you know what? Roll over that $1,000 extra into that Merrill Lynch account and let's roll up on some of this Amazon stock that's still going down. So when it goes up, we're going to be crushing it. Or, well, I think some people aren't necessarily living above their means, but to me, it actually makes me feel nervous even thinking about putting shit on credit. So you could be like percentage wise living within your means, but to me, anything on credit is just like not. It's like you're stealing from yourself. And you know, I kind of look at it when I was a little less financially, you know, just doing stupid shit when I was like back in the day single and everything. And it was like, okay, you're trying to portray this image. You know, if you could tell like the women out there that the people that you need to, you know, if you're a gold digger, the person that you're trying to dig gold from isn't the one that looks like he has the gold, because he's the one that's financing everything. The guy that doesn't look like he has the money is probably who has the gold. Applebee's. Listen, I'm not even old enough to be going to Applebee's right now.
Nothing was wrong with Applebee's.
Applebee's, man. I went to Applebee's. Okay, who brought up the Applebee's? Trucker Pete. Let's go to Applebee's and get some watered down drinks. I went to Applebee's with Travis Kinley, Ross Johnson, and I forget who was there. Man, I can't remember who's there, but a couple people that were on YouTube, and then a few people that were like on the driver advisory board. They just got done with their driver advisory board meeting, and they were like, hey, Lyle, you want to come over here? And they had already got like the open bar at the driver advisory board meeting. We went over to Applebee's, and it took so long for them to make drinks that I didn't drink before I got there, but I was more sober when I left than when I got there. It took so long to get drinks, and they were like watered down. What's up, Skeletor? Well, if she's 49, she's about 10 years too young to go to Applebee's. All right, Johnny said he worked 20 plus years ago. He had a job making over $30 an hour, stacked most of it. A lot of my coworkers had a hard time coming up with the cash if they had an emergency for the. I'm going to tell you exactly what the main trigger was for me on that, but I still watch videos on YouTube about finances, debt, things like that, because I want to stay focused on not even like dipping my toe back into that. And there was something that was said where if you're like 25 years old, if you start putting $100 a week away into savings, by the time you're ready to retire, I forgot what it was, you're gonna have like $1.5 million or 2 million, whatever it was. But if you wait even 10 years on that, you're gonna need to almost double what you're putting into that, just based on interest, accrual, all that kind of stuff. So if you happen to be somebody young out there, start stacking that money away. Uh, the reason that I really got anal about the money situation once I'd gone through my own was I started looking at people that shouldn't have had issues with money. Government workers that have been working there for years, had a stable income for over, 10, 15, 20 years, and all of a sudden the government shuts down and they were having problems meeting their debt obligations 2 weeks after the shutdown or a month after the shutdown. There's no reason for that. If you've been making $70,000 a year, single person, maybe your house is making 120, 30, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to go minimum 6 months to a year without getting anything coming in before you start panicking. And this was pure panic. That's when I realized, you know what, I got to step up. Anthony Medlock and that. Oh, Trucker Pete. Okay, so all right, so you were at that Applebee's meeting that we had. So I'm not putting the name with the with what was going on, but yeah, Medlock was there. The girl that had the fitness trucks, what were they called? I forget, but yeah. I just saw one of her trucks the other day, as a matter of fact. I don't think that they actually drive for Prime anymore. I think that they got the trucks running under Prime. All right. I'm not sure if I'm about to get kicked off of here or not. In my opinion, where do I see the price of diesel going up or down? I really don't care about that because the situation with Prime, actually, the higher the diesel prices go, the better it actually is. So for me and people at Prime, it doesn't really matter. But it seems like they've been going down quite a bit the last few days, especially since I just filled up on my way into Colorado. I'm not too happy about that. No, Castle Hill Holler, you didn't miss anything. We're just out here talking shit. All right, I'm going to mention this again. The money behind me is what I like as a single truck lease operator would be minimum, like not even like $5,000 would be the minimum. I would maybe feel like 7,500. I could maybe stand behind that, but 5,000 minimum. What do I think about the housing market right now? I still think the prices aren't going down. I think if you're waiting for prices, or if anybody's waiting for housing prices to come down, it's not going to happen. Except it might dip a little bit, like 15, depending on where you're at. It may dip, a little bit. Certain areas more than others. The same areas that always go down the most are probably going to go down. Phoenix, Miami, just speculatory areas. But in where I'm at, the market may stall and not go up. It may go down a few percent, but people that are like, I'm gonna wait and the market's gonna be down, it's not gonna happen. The inventory is not there for the market to just fall out of nowhere. Plus, mortgage companies are coming up with different ways to kind of lower mortgages, which may not be the best idea, but they're trying to combat this a little bit. Market is not going to fall. Now, there could be in some off-brand communities like, rural Alabama or, places that like that possibly, but I don't see it happening in like major areas. Or even like not major areas that are near major areas. Anyway, I'm at 2 hours and 25 minutes in this. I'm about to get off of here and go to sleep. Shoot. But I do appreciate everybody stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation as always. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out. All right. Thank you too.